As the songs of awakening rang through, the world was created. The silence was broken.
Middle-earth, with its rolling hills, broken mountains, flowing rivers, and beautiful forest, was created.
Cellar Door is a journey into the mythology, the mystery, and the beauty of Middle-earth. Sit back,
Close your eyes,
and imagine.
A swift breath sweeps the ground, extinguishing the fires that scorched the earth in the wake of Melkor's destruction. The Valar come back together and began to remake the world. They formed Almarin, the Great Isle, this paradise that would be the home of the Valar.
And with the hope of bringing their vision to pass, they sought to illuminate the world of Arda with a light so great it would fill all the world in perfect symmetry. So Aule forged 2 great towers, and fashioning 2 spheres, Varda filled the globes, having gathered the misty lights that veil the barren ground, and naming them Illuin and Urmal, and they were hallowed by Manwe. And it came to be that in the center of Arda, where the lights converged and the land was richest, Yavanna cultivated the greenest of land, Yavanna bringing forth trees and herbs, beasts and birds, and all the lands were green. And it was here that the Valar rested, by the great lake and the island known as Almaran.
The menace of Melkor had not disappeared, for he laid in wait for the perfect time to strike. He spoke with his servants that would help herald Melkor's return. But Tulkas, the greatest warrior of the Valar, stood guard, ready for battle. Melkor waited for his chance in the shadows of the lamps.
As the world of Arda grew around them, the Valar basked in the glories of their labors. And being happy or content, the Valar continued to mold and fashion the world known as Arda in the vision of Eru. Then the Valar, forging masterful themes for the future of Arda, and in their celebrating such moments, they would feast for the glory of their unions. Tulkas and Nessa's union was one of the most memorable. And Tulkas, after the feast, was drained of energy, and seeing that the world was at peace, he slept.
Melkor's spies turned and rode to herald the news that Tulkas has laid down to rest, his post now unguarded. In this moment, Melkor stood and raised his hands. The iron mountains rose, towering peaks over the north of Arda. The pinnacles spiraled into the clouds, as if Melkor's hands rising from below, lifting the earth, distorting the beauty that the Valar had created. From the pinnacles above the clouds, Melkor raised his mace, hitting the mountainside, forcing the red-hot lava from the center of Arda to rise and burst into the clouds, poisoning the rain, and with this, the vast fortress of Utumno. As the poison from the clouds, Melkor unleashed blight, were brought upon the land and corrupted the creatures the Valar had created.
The Valar and Almoron first begin to notice the dark clouds spewing from the north, and they stared out in confusion, and they felt lost, thinking of the corruption of their hallowed creations. They feared the possible return of Melkor. And as the blight raised by Melkor began to emerge, the Valar saw he had indeed laid his foul hand to destroy the beauty of Arda and set to waste the lands that had been claimed as his. For what they now saw in the distance as the mountains cleared by destruction had given way to the forming of a fortress that bellowed fire and smoke. Utumno.
Melkor, acting swiftly, seizing on the confusion and unrest, and as the Valar lay confounded by his deeds, attacked with great force, shattered, crumbling echoes filled and spread throughout the land, thundering impact and explosions were heard. The ground shook, the creatures ran as the sky begins to fall. What new malice is this? What new sorcery is this? Iluin's silver glow and Urma's golden glow were the last pieces to crash. The ground splintered, filling with water. The spheres exploded upon impact, unleashing an inferno that killed all in its blast. And with his mind of vengeance, Melkor's plan is complete. Arda's symmetry was destroyed, splitting into continents with vast oceans.
The Valar held together what they could of the crumbling towers, and failing to gather their wits, allowed the vile Melkor to slither away, back to his abode in Utumno, sparing some of the creatures and the complete obliteration of life. But they were all left in the darkness.
In the darkness, the Valar could not understand how their paradise was destroyed. Yavanna suffered with the loss of her creation, a creation born from her being, and in grief laid the world to sleep, allowing plants and flowers to smolten with the raging fires. Middle-earth turned into a wasteland. The Valar left Almarin, traveling to the west, founding Valinor, a land that spared the horror and destruction of Middle-earth. The Valar, united, raised the cliffs surrounding Valinor, making towering walls to defend and stop any intruders. But this would only keep them out. But what if they were already in? Then what would occur?
And with their grief passing, for yet a third time, the Valar gather again to rebuild. Construction begins, and they form Valinor. And with the birth of Middle-earth, light was once again in need. And in awe and fear of the power of the destruction they caused with the great lamps, Yavannas instead sings into existence the two trees, silver-colored Telperion and golden-hued Lorelin. The trees sit on the hill as LOTR, sitting just outside Valinor. They grew in the presence of all of the Valar, watered by the tears of Nienna. Nienna, who is the sister of Mandos and Ermo, whose name means she who weeps. So grieved is she by the loss of Aramen, the suffering of Arda, with such sorrow that her lamentations become timeless before they even begin. And as the music unfurls, the lament and sorrow are now woven into the themes of the world, into Middle-earth and beyond. And with time, all of those who wait in Mandos, they cry to her, for she brings strength to the spirit and turns sorrow to wisdom. And in time, the sounds of the lament are more so woven into the sounds of the land and the people and their tales. And it is from Nienna that man and elf and all beings learn to pity.
In Middle-earth, the light of the trees did not reach. Darkness and silence on this charred and blighted ground. Fell beasts and other hideous creatures multiplied in Utumno under the command of Melkor.
This ends Chapter 3, The Spring of Arda. Join us for our next episode as the dwarves and Ents awake. My name is Neisha T. Mulchan.
And mine is Louis Lacau.
And this is Cellar Door, a journey into Middle-earth.